you're interested in creative degrees in games, sound, film, journalism, or maybe you'd like to mix and match, you can head to murdoch.edu.au/arts to learn more about what we've got going on offer. That's murdoch.edu.au/arts, or you can search Murdoch University for more information. Murdoch University School of Arts, proudly supporting Pixel Sift. Hello, and welcome to Pixel Sift. I am your host, Scott, and for those of you joining us for the first time, we are a show dedicated to indie developers from around Australia and the world. Joining me tonight is my co-host, Fiona. Hello, Fiona.
Hello.
Hello back to you, sorry. Our guests this evening are Locky Betts and Jeff Hayes from Grease Monkey Games. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
No worries at all. So Locky and Jeff are here to talk about their competitive drifting game, Talk Drift. But before we get to that, what are we covering, Fiona?
So tonight we'll also be talking about licensing and representations of real-world products within video games, so like cars and weapons, and how it affects developments. All
right, all that coming up in just a sec.
Visit us on pixelsift.com.au.
This week, we are talking about licensing and representation of real-world products in games. It's come to light through Reddit that last year, over the last few years, there's been brands pulling out of games because they didn't like to be assigned and associated with the things that happened within those games. And I'm talking Need for Speed mainly, and Toyota not wanting to be part of that. And we chose today's topic because, fortunately enough, our guests are very much related to that. Cars are very much not your thing, Fiona.
No, they're not. I have friends who are very much more into car racing games than I am. But did some research anyway, and there's some cars like Toyota pulled out last year of Forza, but then also Honda pulled out of Need for Speed a few years prior to that. I think it was about 2012, 2013, because they didn't want their brand associated with illegal street driving.
Yeah, or such a trash game, but that's just my hot take on it. I mean, there are plenty of proper licensed titles out there, you know, the NBA or FIFA series or anything, Madden NFL, all the WWEs, even Tony Hawk. But these were all like properly supported by the brands or the products themselves, like committing to their name on it. And in saying that, there are a lot of games out there that go without endorsement. You know, like almost start off on the back foot, say like Pro Evolution Soccer or Skate or Rumble Roses. But going back to Honda, the reason why Honda stopped appearing in the games specifically, like you said, is because they didn't want to be affiliated with, you know, their cars getting chased by police, and to a lesser extent, you know, they weren't to be fond with their street racing thing, like you said, Fiona. Sorry, guys, take away with it.
Sorry, Scott. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Talking about things like Tony Hawk's and Need for Speed, I think when it comes to licensing and public perception of products, it's really important that whatever the product is involved in reflects what's in the game. So, you know, when you see companies that are involved with, say, GT and the racing scene, you know, they're being reflected exactly how it is in the real world that way. And I think they do seem to find it difficult to sort of create a connection between two industries that, yes, might be created in society, but it's not their desired perspective. So it's really hard in the gaming scene as well, meshing kind of motorsport in games, because a lot of people in motorsport, for what we've found anyway, don't really understand the gaming world at all.
Yeah.
Especially in the mobile market, you know, trying to understand how the reach that the mobile market has and how that can correlate to brands being effective and reaching a whole new audience, and trying to tap into a younger audience and reaching people they might not necessarily be able to do so from conventional advertising, conventional media. It's hard to really sell that.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point, actually. In my research on this, unfortunately, it was the only manufacturer that I could find that had a lot of information on this was Ford. Now, they had reports stating that advertisements are extremely worthwhile to their brand. In research conducted by Interpret, they discovered that participants of an in-game Ford ad exposure saw a 36% increase in brand rating and a 28% increase in purchase consideration. There's plenty more stats to go with it there, but that's pretty considerable of a jump.
Definitely. I mean, you look at the way conventional media is done on a billboard at a racetrack, and an event. We were at Long Beach, a Formula Drift event in March, just to do some research and to connect with some of the people that we wanted to build further relationships, which we have now since. But seeing the odd 20-ish thousand people that come through there over the weekend, and there's no guarantee on who exactly sees a billboard that is in some random spot on the track or some random spot throughout the event. There's no way to calculate that data or to basically sell that data. So it seems strange that people and companies are so happy to go, yeah, bang, we'll spend 20, 30, whatever $1,000.
Yeah, on something so static, and
and when you have a product where you go, all right, we can guarantee you 20 million people are going to see this product, or 50,000 or whatever the number is, and guarantee that metric to someone, that it comes across as not necessarily negative, but because it's so untested, I guess, or it's unused, that it's like, oh, this must be bad or something. And also such
like a dangerous kind of area for them. I know. So the Ford licensing manager Mark Bentley says that they don't want to see their cars flipping over for unknown reasons or catching fire or what he called a thermal event. They don't want things happening for no reason. If you're driving poorly in the game and end up rolling the car, that can be explained. But say they said they'd never appear in a burnout game, where destruction is the point of the game. And on the flip side, for instance, Ford had to get permission from developers to share screenshots of their cars. But like you said, sometimes the car industry really doesn't get it, and they'll put their foot down and not kind of understand it exactly what it is they're doing.
Totally. And I think it was funny you said about burnouts, because I guess there's no real kind of sanctioned burnout competition like there is in, say, competitive drifting or competitive racing or time attack or those kinds of motorsport based ways, which is it's ironic because you have Ford cars, Mustangs, in drifting and they get destroyed, and we've come across similar things where it's about defamation of a product, and I think it's not just the defamation of the product, it's the intent of the defamation of the product. Like how is it being used how it should be, how the product is intended to be used. So like a drift car, and that's been sanctioned by Ford and been sponsored by or whoever, is designed to run walls. It's designed to there's going to be times when they smash. So it kind of comes with it. It's accepted, I think. Yeah.
And like, you're not dealing with street cars in this instance, if we're talking about drifting or whatever. These are race cars, so the same rules shouldn't apply. Like I remember on this Ford tip again, because they have just so much information available. There's in the Thriller, in the Xbox 360 game, Alan Wake, a Ford appears in that, and it gets into an accident. And they had to make sure the cars had airbags and that the safety was represented well in the game, and they had their legal team involved and whatever. So in saying that though, like developers are actually paying. I'm sure you guys can speak for yourselves, but no, there's some developers are actually paying the auto manufacturers to include their cars in the games. So this is a great revenue generation for them.
100%. It definitely is. I mean, it can go both ways really, depending on how it's used, and obviously that depends from product to product. But it does create some substantial design problems as well, especially if you're through a process of development and something's maybe not finalized, or a deal goes sour. You might be banking on that from an advertising perspective, or like a benchmark to use as a point to pivot off for, say, the game's slated release or whatever it may be. And if those things fall through, it can really shatter the whole game's production, or even the game's success. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, especially on the production time wise, I read something. going back to 2012, saying that digitizing automobiles in a meticulous process. Basically that Polyphony Digital spent 6 months worth of man hours on each of the premium cars in Gran Turismo 5, which is a pretty incredible amount of man hours. And now I don't know if there's how much truth in that, but say if you had a manufacturer pull out, that's a lot of lost time.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, it is, and that's lost money, right? Like time's money.
Well, we've probably given that enough time. Obviously, I think this is a good thing. The future sales for kind of manufacturers through young players, I think, is a great way for them to invest in their future. And I think they should let loose a little bit. But obviously, it's their their rights and their or their livelihoods, so they have to take it seriously. But in saying that, this is also a stat that goes back many years. In-game advertising is a $2.8 billion industry as of 5 years ago. So it might be something that they want to get involved with if they're not already.
Oh, there is an uphill battle with that, I tell you what.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to tell us about that in a minute while we jump into our next topic.
Hey there, if you're enjoying the show and you want to hear more, subscribe to Pixel Sift on Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, or listen on pixelsift.com.au. See you there.
Locky Betts and Jeff Hayes are from Grease Monkey Games in Melbourne. Tonight they've joined us to talk about their upcoming release, Talk Drift, which is a competitive drifting game that looks to put in the control of real-life cars on the mobile platform. Thanks for joining us again today, guys.
Thanks for having us. It's been great.
Yeah.
Sweet. For people playing at home that may not automatically know what the game is by the name, maybe not familiar with drifting, what's Talk Drift all about?
Oh, what's Talk Drift all about? I'll let Jeff take this one.
I'll take the reins for a little bit, I guess. Pull my weight. Well, essentially, it's drifting on a mobile phone. That's pretty much what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it as real as possible for the gamers. You can have battles with your mates. You can have tournaments, like your own server. Yeah, Locky? Back me up on this.
No,
one.
sorry, that was me. I was just about to say, for the uninitiated as well, drifting is basically sliding your car sideways competitively and as bestly as you can.
Like, considering that Jeff actually throws his car sideways, I passed it off to him to be able to say,
dude,
well, throw sideways like I do in my real car, but no, okay.
Dude, I was going to say...
I can't even fathom that, man. Like, everyone that I know knows drifting. It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
It's hard to try to explain.
So you're obviously fans of motorsport to some, or at least a big extent. What actually made you get involved with it, or start making this game?
I think we've seen drifting as kind of an untapped market, especially like it's a very, very up and coming rising sport globally. Not so much here in Australia. People are trying to do.
It's definitely growing.
It's growing.
Everywhere you look, it is growing.
With things like Formula Drift in the States, the IEDC, the Irish Drift Championship, and then British Drift Masters. And there's a lot of circuits around the world that are kind of really pushing the sport, and the sport's come quite a distance in the last like 10, 12 years. And it's just really enjoyable. I mean, I'm going to speak, I think Jeff and I will both be extremely biased because I've loved drifting since I was about 12, 13 years old.
Right.
I thought it was the maddest thing ever. But as I said, I think it's more from the accessibility part from a video game, and that comes from how the competitive nature of the sport is. When you watch normal racing, you sit in a spot and you watch cars come past. You're like, cool, that was awesome. And then you watch drifting, and it's two cars right next to each other, hammering at 120 k's an hour sideways around corners, and they go off. Then they swap. Then there's another two that do it in the exact same spot. So you're seeing this continual action over and over and over and over and over and over again. And as a spectator, it's amazing.
Yeah. So every second is intense. So it's relentless.
Yeah.
It's a relentless sport on the car and the drivers.
And that's as a spectator, let alone as a driver.
Yeah.
And as a gamer, you know, whenever I've picked up a motorsport game, whether it be Underground 2 or
Yeah.
Forza or Furudashi, all these ones, you want to drift. You want to drift hard.
It's the only reason I love Gran Turismo as much as I do, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the days of going fast, the old F1 days coming out of the 80s and into the peak of the 90s and stuff, that's dead. It's gone. You're seeing huge falls of NASCAR and all sorts of other motorsport industries are just not pulling their weight because it seems like the general masses of audience, they just want more. They want something different and new.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We feel that that's drifting. And it's just fun and it's just awesome. Like it is. It just looks awesome.
Even when you take away the competitive side of things, it's just an awesome sport to get around with your friends.
So you guys have obviously have a bit of racing or drifting experience yourself in real life. How do you think that's helped you with the development of the game?
Tenfold.
Yeah,
so much.
Yeah.
To understand where a transition should happen, to understand where the weight should go, to understand how camber affects when loads put on the car in the middle of a drift, or how toe adjustment affects rear toe adjustment affects the ability for the car to snap back, and how those engineering sort of concepts within cars has shifted so much, if not kind of polar opposite to racing. So learning. You can sit and learn about it from a piece of paper or read what professionals say and whatever. But until you actually do it, until you see it, until you feel it, it kind of means nothing, really.
Yeah, someone can teach you how to do it, but it's not until you're in the car and you feel the weight transfer and you let go of the steering wheel and you catch it and then you get back on the power. Like you just have to do it. You know what I mean? It's got to come from you just got to know deep down what's going on, and that's why we hired out a racetrack and we brought all the boys down there.
Yeah.
And everyone in the office, we got down there, put them behind the wheel, and we got everyone sliding. And then we came back, and after that, just the game just started getting so much better, so much faster, and it really made a big difference. And we think that's what is going to make the difference.
I mean, we made a pinnacle point where we were sort of had a good idea of what we wanted and how the game was feeling. From the speed of the cars to the handling, and then we went to America and we were at FD and we came back from that and pretty much took all the balance stuff we'd done up to that point and threw it away and kind of started not necessarily from scratch but pretty much started from scratch of all right, this is our new benchmark, this is what we want to work towards. 1,000 horsepower cars drifting at 140 k's around a corner.
So what
Crazy lot.
Sorry, so what crucial aspect of drifting did you absolutely want to include in this game?
Battles,
yeah. The closeness and intense nature of battling with an opponent, taking a corner so far, so speed for one, and then I guess the level of detail and dexterity in controls, so that when you're running up right up on someone's door, that you can hold it and transition the whole way together, and reading your opponent. That was really, really important for us from a control perspective. And then after that, it was also track layouts. Track layouts have been super, super important so that you can, as a chase driver, be prepared where the lead driver is going to be, so that you can get those really awesome transitions, so you know where to brake to let them pass and those kinds of things.
Well, bringing this into our licensing topic a little bit, I did notice a little Abisu circuit jump type thing in the trailer. Is there much help of real world aspects in the game, courses and cars and such?
So we're under the process of licensing everything for the game.
Amazing.
So yeah, and that's what I was saying before about it being difficult.
Yeah, no doubt.
From a huge part is not just the gameplay in the essence of the drifting, but it's also from the customization. So if 50% of drifting is actually drifting, and the other 50% is building your car.
Well, that is another question I was going to follow up with, like the modifications and customizations in the game. How far can you go into it?
That's huge. So that's everything from complete suspension setups, from coilovers that adjust ride height to damper to spring stiffnesses, from
toes, everything,
to camber,
everything to live your Dorifto dreams out.
Caster, all exhaust,
all your stance nation.
Yeah. You can slam that thing and put 11
Yeah.
degrees camber on both wheels if you want to.
Just cause.
Ridiculous.
Just 'cause. And we
Get
do
your
it
car
every
scraping
now and then.
everywhere.
Yeah. That was that was really important for us as well. Is we're trying to make a game that appeals to people that go and watch this stuff, that will want to be a part of this, that want to do it themselves. If we're not doing it from a sense of a real world perspective, we lose legitimacy, we lose authenticity. So it's harder to gain those. Basically, get a. We feel it enables us to get a widespread audience, a wider spread audience, and we think it just improves the general, I guess, feel or vibe of the game when they see that there's a product that they can get in real life.
Well, yeah, no, you all of a sudden get the authenticity and all the other loaded things that come with having that car in the game. On your audience that you just kind of brought up, who do you figure your audience is going to be? Is this a game for car enthusiasts first?
I mean, I think it's weird because we're trying to build it towards both. And when I say both, I mean the car gamer audience, but the car enthusiast audience.
Yeah,
I do think the latter does naturally form a larger portion of that audience, which is something we're trying to change. Like, we're trying to, especially from people from different areas, not just US, not just England, we're trying to get drivers that, because we have signed drivers in the game that are legitimate Formula Drift drivers. And speaking of licensing, that's one of the ways that helps us sort of get our foot in the door, is that we have their cars licensed from them because they own it.
Yeah, right.
And then there's kind of like a third-party usage of their sponsors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like a small, or it just makes it easier to sort of get that over the line, and then people get the chance to have the driver that they really like or idolize in the game.
They get their car, they can try it out. Every car has its own personality.
Yeah.
So, and that's set up for how they like to drive it, obviously.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get a feel for how they have it and try to set your own car up like that as well.
So we have a question from the chat here from Society Wants Me Dead, and I have to agree with them. When I first saw the game, the trailer and the gameplay, I thought it was a PC game or a console game. The graphics are just absolutely amazing. And Society Wants Me Dead wants to know, are you guys going to bring this game to PC at all?
Great question.
Yes and yes. We're bringing it to all platforms. So,
nice.
Amazing.
PC, a console release is slated end of 2019.
Oh, wow.
But that will likely change. We don't know. It's kind of just a very broad, out there kind of time. And PC might be around the same time, could be later. Keep in mind that both console and PC will have full steering wheel support. We want to be, and this kind of another challenge that we've been going through this process of trying to have quality steering wheel support on a drift game, but it's very hard when you don't have proper feedback. You don't know where the car's kind of going as opposed to racing. So it's been this ongoing battle for quite a while, but we are determined to do it because we want it to be better than a few of the other titles that are out there that we personally think aren't doing it good enough. And we want to sort of take the reins and hit top spot with it, really.
And how's that experience been for you over the project? Obviously, tackling such a passionate project for you, both of you, but surely exciting, I guess, and challenging. What's that been like?
Jeff, you go.
I reckon it's been amazing.
Yeah.
I've had so much fun, man.
It is. There hasn't been a single bad moment in my GMG career.
I just want to get the game out and stuff.
That's the car. I got to say the only thing.
Yeah, but then when we're so close to getting everything ironed out, another crazy good idea comes, and then we put that in there. It changes another 6 things, and then everyone's busy again.
So I've got a question from Blue S13. Will dyno tuning be in the game?
No.
I mean, I assume that you would probably just have the power added up when you do the modifications.
Essentially, yeah. I mean,
dyno would be a bit of a novelty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we could definitely add in the future.
Now that you've mentioned it.
No, we can't add more stuff.
It's September.
Let's get it out.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
No, we all
we'll fit it in. Should be right.
All right, so Dino.
Yeah. It's funny. We keep talking about DT and Forza and games like Assetto Corsa come up a fair bit, and dyno tuning for us, we feel we want Torque Drift to sit in the middle between an arcade game and a simulation, because there's aspects of both that are really enjoyable, and there's aspects of both that kind of really suck. So that was kind of a really clear design choice from the beginning of the entire project. Going, right, this is our goal. This is what we want it to be like. This is what we want it to feel like, and trying to find a middle ground that not only players can enjoy from motorsport, from people who know nothing about cars can enjoy as well, that just like mobile games, or people who just like it, but then as well from the real world part stuff that people that can get on board.
Really sink their teeth into it.
Yeah, so when we look at stuff like a dyno, that kind of, in my personal opinion, and I think that tips it towards a little bit more of the simmy side of things, which not necessarily might not happen in the future, but that kind of slightly goes against our whole sort of design philosophy with the game.
We have another question from the chat there, from Zeus Caboose. He says, what rewards or end goals can we expect in the game?
The highest ranking that is king. There's been a lot of conversation about endgame, and it's something that we really, really focused on. We kind of don't want to mention too much because we want players to get there and
no spoilers, please.
Yeah, kind of just explore that for themselves. The point being is that up to endgame is so rewarding of constantly playing with people. You're constantly playing against other players. It becomes addictive. Getting a full legendary car is one of the most biggest goals you can go for, and getting one, trust me, you'll be a person that people will know, and it'll be awesome. So that is an end goal is pretty awesome.
Got plenty more questions coming in through the chat. For those of you that just joined us, you are listening to Pixel Sift, of course, and we are joined by Locky and Jeff from Grease Monkey Studios, and we're talking about their game Torque Drift. Like I said, plenty more questions from the chat coming through. This one's coming from Rooney Tunes. Is the studio looking at porting the game to the Nintendo Switch or just the main two consoles?
It's been spoken about.
The Switch is the friend of the indie game.
Yeah, it is. It's been spoken about, and that's kind of where it is left. I mean, our primary focus is main two consoles, really. That's going to be like certification for all that. It's just time anyway, so that's kind of our main focus, but it would be pretty awesome. We've seen videos of people that have the controller control for their phone, and it's pretty cool to be able to have that level of control on such a small device and to be portable. So definitely something. Mitch,
one of the producers from today, actually wanted to know if there would be controller support for the mobile, because his mobile does accept controllers, and he wanted to. It totally does. Part of our beta, some people were sending us videos of them using the controllers, the Bluetooth ones, and all sorts of stuff. That's awesome. Something that we encourage people to play how they want to. We'll take one last question from the chat, and I think we will wrap it up, guys. This one's coming from New Vision. How do you all feel about the different interpretations of the sport? Does the game thematically situate itself in one particular interpretation, i.e. Formula Drift and D1 GP ends of the spectrum, and grassroots or street drift culture? How do you approach this? That's a really, really good question.
I love that. Yeah. I love that question.
Yeah, I think Jeff, you can take this.
Oh, dude, don't throw the ball at me.
I'll take that. I don't mind.
Teamwork, guys. Teamwork.
Yeah. Oh, we'd love to obviously get everything, wouldn't we? We're looking at expanding out and trying different cars, and
100%.
Yeah. So right now we're focusing more on the FD aspect of it. We want to get big names, big drivers, big horsepower, big lock, all the fun stuff.
I saw some reverse entry Supra today, I think, on a trailer.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So you're trying to, you do a bit of both. You're covering the kind of grassroots street drift culture as well as focusing, like you said at the moment, on the professional D1 big name brand stuff.
Everything from, we have drivers from Ireland who aren't necessarily as big as, say, Mad Mike.
Yeah.
We have guys like Darren Kelly from New Zealand that drive in the circuit over there. So we've reached out to guys in Australia as well that are up and coming in other circuits around the world. We kind of have designed a system that enables us to fit in every bracket, because at the end of the day, if you're grassroots and you have enough money, you can get 1,000 horsepower F that comes.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing about that is if we assign you into the game and you're grassroots, you might not have that reach, but once you're in the game, then your reach is worldwide. And the local companies that want to sign up, and anyone pretty much that is, about growing the community, just get them involved, and it's just going to help the whole scene of drifting just expand.
Well, we've got plenty of people waiting for it. I've been playing Talk Burnout myself for a little while, but I was just so impressed by every aspect of the game. You've the real life engine shops you have in it. The Summer Nuts things in the background and calendars there, and the fact that you've got the real Burnout cars in there as well, and just the amazing detail that went into it. Very much looking forward to the Talk Drift coming out. For the people playing at home, when is it due to launch?
We knew this question was coming up.
It's coming in October.
Right.
Yeah,
Are we? Is that a confident October?
Yeah. But that's it.
The beta is starting to wind down now.
Yeah,
So
that's closed, is it not?
Closed, but
not completely closed.
Oh, so it's like officially closed, unofficially open.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no more players can be added.
Yeah.
We have so many messages coming in every day.
It's flat out. I want to get on it.
It feels like that's just my job.
Yeah.
Because like Fee said, though, it is such an impressive looking game. And that's kind of why I was really looking forward to speaking to you guys, because I knew just by watching it that you were, racing fans, because the detail and just the way the cars move, looks like you're watching, a video of it.
Yeah, I mean that's also been such a huge challenge, staring at numbers and making sure the numbers feel right, and making sure the balance of all the parts and the rarity system of all the parts, and nothing overshadows the other, and that it's all balanced and it makes sense. And it's been good. It's been very good. Huge learning curve, just like any big project, right? You kind of go down a rabbit hole, you stumble a bit, you dig yourself another bigger hole, and then you claw yourself out, and then you learn for the next one to go, all right, well, I'm going to do this instead.
Yeah. Absolutely. So if people want to follow the game up to the launch, where's the best place to follow you guys online?
Insta is probably our best. Instagram, Facebook. Our website is greasemonkeygames.com. It's just @TalkDrift and Facebook Talk Drift. We're pretty active on Instagram. We try and post as much as we can of silly things and stuff with the game and things we're doing with cars, and got project cars and all sorts of stuff. So stay tuned to all that stuff. We try and connect with our audience as much as we can.
Fantastic.
Aside from
Nice.
answering questions of when it's going to come out.
Well, yes. Hopefully, we'll be waiting for this for the hopeful release next month. Thank you very much for joining us today. That's Locky Betts and Jeff Hayes from Fitzroy's Grease Monkey Games. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Cheers for having us.
Thanks for having us, bro.
Thank you all for joining us for another episode of Pixel Sift, and especially again, thank you to Locky and Jeff for spending some time with us this evening and telling us all about their game Talk Drift. This episode has been hosted by myself, Scott Quigg, and of course Fiona Bartholomaeus. That was terrible. I'll get it better next time. It was produced by Mitch Loh, and of course, let's not forget our executive producer, Gianni Di Giovanni, even though he's not here anymore, or never here anymore anyway. Thank you very much to Murdoch University School of Arts for supporting Pixel Sift through all 105 episodes. If you'd like to learn more about a great creative degree, go to murdoch.edu.au/arts. As always, we'll be sticking up links and topics we've talked about in the show notes on our website at www.pixelsift.com.au. The absolute best thing you can do is head to pixelsift.com.au/Discord if you want to keep up with everything we're doing. We post everything there first, and you can chat to us about what you're playing, articles you've read, or share the cool work you do. That's pixelsift.com.au/Discord. We've also got other social media pages too, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just search for Pixelsift. Fiona, if people want to listen to other episodes, where should they go?
So you can go to our website to stream episodes, subscribe to our podcast either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, or wherever you watch and listen to your podcasts. We're on all of them. We're live every Thursday. Next week at this time is Pixel Sift Players, so join us as we play some of the indie games that we feature on our show and others. Our next podcast episode is on the 4th of October.
That's it. While you're on Apple Podcasts, if you could give us a review and a star rating, that would really help other people find our show. Or even better, load up an episode of Pixel Sift on your friend's phone if you think they'd love it. That's all. Thank you very much. We're out. Peace.